Yo, what's going on, guys? And today we're doing my way too early preview of the Lakers. So before we start today's video, I want to hear your thoughts down below. What do you guys think of this Los Angeles Lakers squad? Yes, this is the way too early preview. People who've been following my channel for over a year now know that I do a season predictions around training camp time, so I have a better idea of what the roster is, and I follow the beat writers of every single team. So right now, we're doing the way too early preview, especially with Russell Westbrook on the roster. We're going to go with this video that Russell Westbrook is going to be on the roster and what that could potentially look like. And at the end of the video, we'll talk maybe some Kyrie and maybe some, Indiana Pacer potential trades if anything does happen. But this is mainly if Russ is still on the team. That's why we'll do another video where it'll be the season predictions. And hopefully by then something changes. Now let's get right into it. Also, sorry for the late uploads today. I usually upload before noon and then after as well, but today it's already almost 6 o'clock while I'm recording this. Went to the rec, just kind of had a weird day, and I was doing well at the rec, putting up my shots. I had a killer day playing some pickup basketball yesterday. I usually go for almost 2 hours, but the past 2 weeks I've been lifting. Oh my god, now I'm getting mad just thinking about it. Past 4 days, past 2 days I went to play basketball, but I had to take 2 days off. But I haven't lifted in 4 days, and I swear to God, I don't know if you guys, probably a lot of you guys lift weights, but I hadn't really lifted weights before and for several years. I was just doing more calisthenics, but as soon as I started doing, lifting arm weights and doing a lot more arm workouts, I swear to God, my jumper was unlocked. I always felt like I was just, not that the ball was heavy or something. I just felt like, damn, I lack the strength, okay? And now, oh my God, it's like I'm hitting threes effortlessly. And even though I'm not a three-point shooter, I'm more of an interior. I try to emulate Manu Ginobili, Matthew Dellavedova. But either way, let's talk about the Lakers. People who follow me know I like to talk about I like playing as much. I play every single day. But my big thing as a journalist and somebody who covers the NBA, I don't want to be one of those fat fucks. There's nothing wrong with being overweight or anything, but I don't want to be one of those sports writer who doesn't have any experience actually playing basketball. And I think this way it just gives me a better way of viewing the game because I play it myself. And, I play a lot of times with guys who did play college or, play AAU. Now let's go into it. So obviously, sorry for that long-winded intro. Now let's talk about the Lakers. And god dang, okay, this Lakers team is interesting. So the Lakers have 14 players on the roster. Lakers recently, have preferred the flexibility of leaving a roster spot open in case they want to sign a player out the G League or in the February buyout market. They have 2 players on two-way contracts, Cole, Swider, and Scotty Pippen Jr. Now, the depth chart is unclear because James and Davis are the only players that are locks to start. Westbrook is likely to start if he remains the team, but besides that, it seems like with Darvin Ham, it's up for grabs. So there's 2 paths that could go down. One with Anthony Davis at power forward, and the other path they could go with him at center. We'll go with both, okay? So if they go with the lineup with Anthony Davis at center, Anthony Davis at power forward, they would run Thomas Bryant at center, and small forward LeBron James. Shooting guard would be Austin Reeves, and point guard with Russell Westbrook. Kendrick Nunn would be the backup point guard, and Lonnie Walker would be the backup shooting guard, probably playing the 6-man role that our man Malik Monk played last year. Troy Brown backing up LeBron, Juan Toscano Anderson and Stanley Johnson backing up Anthony Davis, Damian Jones and Wayne Gabriel backing up Thomas Bryant. Then Talen Horton-Tucker and Troy Brown would obviously fight for the spot behind, LeBron James. And I would think, I don't like Talen Horton-Tucker, so I'll give it to Troy Brown. Lonnie Walker would be backed up by Max Christie, and they don't have a third point guard, okay? So I guess the third point guard might be, Max Reeves. And a cool thing, shout out, these depth charts are from Johan Buha from The Athletic, and he said Russell Westbrook would play 28 minutes a night, so would Austin Reeves. Thomas Bryant would only play 16 minutes a night. LeBron would play 34 and Anthony Davis would play 33, which is interesting. But this is the reason they would do this is because typically Budenholzer used 10-man rotations with star players rarely playing more than 33 minutes a night, and Davis has been his best through the past 4 seasons when he played about 35 minutes a night because the other big man options were so bad. James minutes actually increased to 37 per minute but, you know, at 38, those should go down. And Davis bucked the perception that he doesn't like playing power forward by logging 76% of his minutes at center, his highest proportion in Los Angeles and the second highest of his entire career. And now that was obviously out of necessity because with DeAndre Jordan, Dwight Howard, and on the floor, as well as Westbrook and Davis, it was horrible, the spacing. So they had to put Davis at center. So year 2 of the Davis Westbrook, pairing, if anything, the Lakers perimeter group is worse at shooting threes on paper than it was last year. Last year, they had more shooters, okay? Now, as a result, if the Lakers want Davis to remain at power forward, Bryant's the only realistic option to put there. Bryant shot 41.1% on 2 attempts per game from 3 between 2019 and 2020. And that's a small sample of 46 3-pointers made on 112 attempts. But at least he has the potential to be a floor spacer. While Damian Jones, who obviously was better last season, actually started shooting a little bit of threes, but he's more of a lob vertical threat. And Bryant and Jones are placeholder centers, just like JaVale and Dwight Howard were in the 2019 to 2020 season. And this projection, Davis actually plays more center than either of them. He's at 18 of his 33 minutes at center. Now, looking at the whole roster right there, obviously Westbrook, they want to make him Drew Holiday. And Reeves, I think, gets the nod because he can handle point of attack defensive duties. He can serve as a secondary ball handler. People can forget he was a ball handler in college. He can play make. And yeah, he shot 32%, a little under 32% last year from 3. But I still think he could be good. Obviously, his primary competition is going to be Troy Brown Jr., who's less skilled but shot a higher percent, shot league average, but it was a higher percentage regardless from 3 than Austin Reeves, and he's a bit bigger. But even though Westbrook starts in this scenario, he will play the fewest minutes of his career due to the projected age-related, regression. And off the bench, Damian Jones would play 14 minutes, Juan Toscano would play 22, Troy Brown would play 25, Lonnie Walker would play 18, and Kendrick Nunn would play 22. And right there, I think it's interesting if you look at this because the odd man out are Horton Tucker, Stanley Johnson, Wayne Gabriel, Max Christie. You're thinking, why is Horton Tucker not playing much? Because he's limited as long as Westbrook's on the team. He continues to struggle with shooting and defensive consistency, and Stanley Johnson gets squeezed out of a deeper front court. Gabriel's the 13 man, though he could become a sleeper bench weapon if he gets his 3-point shot consistent. Then obviously 19-year-old Max Christie needs some seasoning, including bulking up and finding his shot motion, unless he becomes Courtney Lee. And Damian Jones just needs to play the Dwight Howard role, finish lobs, occasionally post up, in opportune moments, crash the glass and protect the rims. Toscano Anderson will be the versatile forward who complements Davis and Jones Davis and James with his defense, play energy, hustle, and league average shooting on a low volume. Brown, is there to defend and make threes. Walker is the spiritual successor, like John Buha puts it, of Malik Monk. And if you can match his predecessors shooting and efficiency, we're golden. Nunn is the score first combo guard who can spot James or Westbrook as the co-lead ball handler and play alongside them in second unit lineups. And now if they run Davis at center, I think it would look like this. And I agree with Joan Buha. Okay. And that would be for this to basically, in my opinion, be Davis, Juan Toscano Anderson, LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, and Austin Reeves. And with Thomas Bryant, Stanley Johnson, Troy Brown Jr., Lonnie Walker IV, and Kendrick Nunn as a 5-man rotation. This would push Damian Jones to the back as the third big man. Wayne Gabriel, Taylor Horton Tucker, Max Christie still at the bottom. Juan Toscano Anderson will play 24 minutes, and then everybody else will be the same. And now this is where it shows he's too quick for most centers, Davis, and moving up with positions allows the Lakers to play another wing, improving their spacing and perimeter defense, assuming that, obviously the player that they add, Juan Toscano Anderson, is going to be at least, a neutral defender, which he is. And look, the thing is, this roster doesn't have perimeter size to go smaller, especially against starting groups. So a smaller Lakers lineup, technically with Anthony Davis at center, spaces the floor. While if they go, I just really like this because if they start at center, they need to figure out the defense, the rebounding, and the size, because the logistical problem of playing Juan Toscano Anderson, who's a 6'6" power forward, is that he can defend either forward positions and switch onto guards or centers in a pinch, rebound at a decent clip, and set screens, keep the ball moving, and play just such great defense and energy. And I think it'll be interesting because shooting might be even more important with their fifth starter. With, you know, if you look at this with Juan Toscano Anderson, they could also run LeBron at power forward than Troy Brown Jr. and Austin Reeves, or Juan Toscano Anderson and Troy Brown Jr. And Brown is a better rebounder than Reeves, but Reeves could be better if he shows that he's a better sharpshooter. Brian would play 15 minutes off the bench. Stanley Johnson would play 14 minutes off the bench, 24 from Troy Brown, 18 from Lonnie Walker, and 22 from Kendrick Nunn. Again, Horton Tucker, Gabriel, and Christie remain outside the primary rotation. In this, Brian slides to back up Davis, push Jones to the third string and out of the rotation, except for specific matchups that call for more length, athleticism, and defense. Johnson slides into the Juan Toscano Anderson spot of last thing, and I think it'd be interesting. But look, we're going to see a competition between Juan Toscano Anderson and Stanley Johnson for, you know, obviously the backup 4 spot. Toscano Anderson is the better playmaker, better rebounder, and better defending bigs, while Johnson's better at guards, which may be more important at times considering, you know, how bad the Lakers were at perimeter defense. And Toscano Anderson has his advantages because he's the better shooter. He's more equipped to handle defending 4s and even some 5s and some wings. And the Lakers might want to save James from having to handle that. And this is going to be a close battle. Then the 4th wing, Lonnie Walker and Talen Horton-Tucker, the 2 highest paid wings on the Lakers, aside from LeBron James, obviously. The thing is you need 3-point shooting. Okay, Walker has clear role as a microwave bench scorer, while, you know, Talen Horton-Tucker, I don't even know. And then the backup point guard role will be between Talen Horton-Tucker, Austin Reeves, and Kendrick Nunn. And I'm taking Kendrick Nunn there. I want to hear your thoughts down below.